In the United States, stroke is the third leading cause of death and the leading and most costly cause of serious long-term adult disability in the United States. It is estimated over 800,000 strokes will occur in America this year, and I was able to speak with Paul and Michelle Chadbourne about their experiences on their road to recovery. Paul, when did you experience your stroke?
January 6th of 2018.
Have there been any similar things that have happened to you since?
Well, before I received the Theracycle, I rolled my right ankle and ruptured my Achilles tendon.
He was completely paralyzed on the left side of his body.
After this incident happened in 2018, who did you consult with? What was the treatment plan?
Dr. Claudia Wheeler, she's a physiatrist. She's a therapy doctor, and she kind of oversees everything pertaining to recovery. The bike was put in our home in February, and then COVID happened, and life stopped, and all Paul's therapy stopped.
I am a board-certified physiatrist. I am the medical director of adult outpatient rehabilitation at Rhode Island Hospital and the Miriam Hospital in Providence, Rhode Island. I met Paul in April of 2018. He was having severe left shoulder pain. He was having a lot of difficulty walking and was falling. During COVID, it made it very challenging for our patients to get to therapy. It was a lot of times not safe. And what happens when a stroke patient isn't exercising is they regress. So when someone comes back to the office and they don't have that and they haven't regressed, I say to them, what's different? What did you do? And it's usually that they've been persistent with their exercise. He has been able to be exercising at home. He has been really consistent and developed good habits with exercise. And when I saw Paul back in the office towards the end of the pandemic, unlike most of my patients who had lost ground, Paul had not.
It's the only consistent therapy I had was the bike.
He uses that every single night. He finishes his dinner and he goes downstairs on the bike, and he's up to over 30 minutes every single day. If he didn't have that bike in the house when COVID hit, I don't know where he'd be right now. Paul's had to spend a lot of time home alone, and I'm back working about 30 hours a week, and that bike it's just been a godsend.
When you think back to when Paul first started rehab to right now, how has your perspective changed?
But I always thought that you get what you're going to get within the first 6 months to a year, and that's it. And that's not it, because Paul was 2 years out when he started riding. And I think that's why we see more of an improvement with this than we did with his exercises, because he was never consistent enough with the exercises. You'd have to do them like consistently every single day for a certain amount of time to create that new pathway in your brain. And the bike does that for him.
Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to form new pathways where they didn't exist previously. So imagine the area of the stroke is being injured and the neurons there aren't firing. Now the neurons have to figure out a way to make connections that didn't exist previously. One of my patients gave me a great analogy, and I like to share this with all of my patients, is imagine you're walking across a field, and the field has very tall grass. When you walk that path the first time, there is no path there, so you're pushing down the grass. But if you keep walking that same path every single day with lots of repetition and consistency, a little trail starts to form. And then if you continue walking the path, it becomes a paved road, and now you can get from one side of the field much more quickly. That's basically what neuroplasticity is. And the way that we apply this with patients is by doing exercises that are repetitive and with lots of volume. And we do them over and over and over again until we form these new permanent connections.
He picks his foot up now. Very seldom do I have to say, pick your foot up. Before, when I'd walk beside him, it was constantly, bend your knee, pick your foot up. That's the hugest change. And Dr. Wheeler had even noticed that the last time we were in there. It's the only recovery component that it's fun.
I also caught up with Dave Dancerow, who's been working with Paul over the last couple of years and tracking his progress.
I've been following Paul Chadbourne's progress for 13 months during the course of this pilot. One of the big burdens for a stroke survivor is you and I take for granted how easy it is for us to walk across the room. When someone has what's called hemiparesis, or there's impairment on one side of the body, that energy cost of exercising or just moving is high. If you happen to have a piece of equipment at home that's not specialized like the Theracycle, you're going to find that to put someone like Paul on a Peloton or a Life Cycle, for example, they will not be able to get to that threshold where they can see the cardiovascular gains necessary. In addition to the ability of the bike to be able to adapt to any special setup considerations Paul might need for either getting in and out with some of the features the bike has. So it's very much a critical piece of, I think, the success that he's had at home. Paul considered himself having had plateaued or not an exerciser prior to the start of this pilot. And now to hear a statement like that, really makes me smile.
Paul and Michelle are now back on the path to normalcy, a path we're all trying to navigate out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks for watching.